All right, folks, there's no reason to keep you all waiting any longer. We're going to start this party a little early today. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Good Friday, everybody. Welcome to a Friday Fun Day. My name is Rob Appell, and I'm just going to do some free motion quilting for a few minutes while everybody logs in. I see a lot of you are already commenting and having a blast together. We've got about 30 minutes today to play. I'm really hoping that we're going to end this National Quilting Month off in style with some great free motion live demo here. Just playing and doodling along on my easiest log cabin quilt ever. So we will actually start the video up here in a few minutes. Of course, it's already recording for those of you who watch later and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I just thought it'd be good to warm up a little today. Give everybody a time to pop some popcorn, settle in, make sure you can hear and see me okay. Make sure everybody's got a nice amount of Dramamine in their system. It could get rowdy. Having some fun with just some straight line and goofy, swirly quilting. The definition of playing as a free motion quilter. We are on technically a domestic machine. This is the Handy Quilter 510. I love it. We can actually talk about this a little bit later in the video. Let me make sure you can all hear me. Okay, make sure that, let me know if you can hear me okay, folks, while we're just playing. It looks like I'm actually, oh my gosh. Do I jinx us and say it looks like everything's going to run smoothly today? I certainly hope not. And yes, I've noticed I'm having a bit of a bad hair day. So maybe we'll just call it a bad hair day and a great tech day. Fingers crossed. All right, let's start this party. Let's start this video. And yeah, we will come back to some free motion machine quilting. I didn't do any quilting on this quilt over the last week. I got inspired by other things. We're going to talk about that today as well. Let me say welcome to all 54,000 subscribers plus out there. Really appreciate all of you being part of our sewing community, our quilting community right here at Stitchin Heaven. We call the show on Wednesdays Sew Well with Rob Appell, but we're also having all kinds of fun with our other family members like Pat and Karen and Amy doing great Block of the Month welcome videos. We have Chat with Pat, which is on Facebook now. On Tuesdays, I believe, although she may have been ill this Tuesday and caught up late with something like that. I can't even keep it all straight. We have so many things going on. So make sure that you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribed to our email newsletter. You can find that at stitchinheaven.com down at the big blue box below. So yeah, we're just going to have a lot of fun. I also want to point out we are almost to 1,000 members. This is obviously an old screenshot. We're 940 or so at Sew Well Rob Appell. That's a private Facebook group over on YouTube, and I am running security, and I'm really a stickler about who gets to come in. So if you're ready to have a good time, if you're ready to discuss quilting and share photos and inspiration with all of our friends in the quilting community, please join us on Facebook through the Sew Well Rob Appell page. It's lots of fun. Forgive me, folks, I forget sometimes to check and let you all in every couple of days. So I do my best to do that, but again, I've been busy being creative and I forget to do the social media stuff. I really shouldn't confess how bad I actually am at social media. It's something that for me has never been super, super important. I love looking at what you all do out there, but I forget to tell you all what I'm doing out there. So I think this is a great place to start putting up some of these, I almost said some of these more pictures. But I do have a fun slideshow for you all today, a little bit about what I've been up to and some of the things that I got to do with my friend last week. As we go through projects and any of our live shows, please note I try to put links in the descriptions below for any of the quilt projects you see, some of the videos you see. I say that and I realize I've already forgotten to put the link up for this video, but it'll be in next week because it's coming down the road. That makes sense actually now that I'm saying it out loud in front of all of you out there. Those of you who are typing away like crazy, yes, let us know where you're coming from. Let us know if you're a new viewer. Let us know what the weather is like. Let us know what you're grateful for. I check the comments about the middle and then again at the end of the video so I can follow what you're all doing. But I get pretty distracted and I'm kind of producing the show as we go. So, really exciting news. I'm going to jump into the announcements, everybody, and I won't sing the fun little announcement song this week. But yes, Benartex, the virtual fabric show, we'd like to invite you all to join us, virtualfabricshow.com, April 16th and 17th. From 3 p.m. till 5:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. I guess that's what that means. But at any rate, yes, I will be presenting on the 16th from 4:30 to 5:30 with Mary Fawns. What an honor for me, what don't you think? And we'll be talking about the second version of New Worlds, which we're calling Newer Worlds. And if you look close, I'll hold this graphic still for a moment. You can see that the fabrics there, that's the new fabrics that are coming out on top of our New Worlds fabric. So this is New Worlds. This is a fabric collection I designed and it launched around January. And actually, funny enough, folks, I've got the samples on the table, not only to entice you, but to show you we are actually rebuilding this Synergy remix from the Splice Magic book. We're rebuilding this quilt from the set because we can't match these fabrics any longer. And I thought, wouldn't it be great to use my actual fabrics for the set quilt? So those of you who are ordering the new versions of the Splice Magic, the Synergy quilt kit, they'll have the New Worlds by Rob Appell and the Shadow Blush by Benartex. And we've custom curated those colors together to be perfect with this. And that's going to be really exciting. So when I say that, I'm going to put this graphic back up. You can see that the colors, I have one gray and 8 other tones that are designed specifically to fall back into the lineup here with my colors so that I'll be building out another really cool gradient. So basically it's 9 new pieces, it's 3 more designs in 3 colors each like the original. It's really fun. It's gonna be of the same style and tones and I should say scales, and really, really fun to work with. You can even see here, let me just put on the overhead camera real quick where I've been doing a little bit of quilting, but all of these geometric prints you're seeing, the circles, the triangles here, this blueprint right over here, those are all the designs, and I love using them as a basic. They quilt beautifully. So of course for me that's super exciting. So yeah, April 16th is when I'll be doing my presentation out there. I'll be talking about something that I hope is epic for all of you, and Mary Fawns will be there too, so that's pretty dang cool. And again, it's open for all of you. You just have to sign up over at that virtualfabric.com. Along with the announcements, do not forget, if you are anywhere near the small state of Texas, we are doing our All Texas Shop Hop, and we're having so much fun with that. So that goes on all the way through the end of April. Also coming up in June 11th, or I should say on June 11th through 13th is the OESD Embroidery Essentials Let's Celebrate. This is going to be a really cool event held at Stitchin Heaven, and we're going to be doing a lot of great embroidery stuff. And so at any rate, encourage you to sign up for that. If you ever have questions on this kind of stuff, you can always email info@stitchinheaven.com. So if you have questions for them, let them know. Although I should put up a disclaimer at the beginning of any of our videos. And actually, if you notice, I have put a disclaimer in the description about no quilts being harmed. I think that's hilarious. Forgive me if you don't. I think it's wonderful. However, I probably should put up that disclaimer you always see at the beginning of these kinds of shows where it says, Stitchin Heaven is no way responsible or in agreement with the things that actually come out of this guy's mouth while he's live on TV. So anyways, maybe that would be the disclaimer as we go through. Lots of fun. Speaking of having a lot of fun, this week's video that posted a couple days ago, it's being very well received. Of course, it's Tiffany Hayes. We got to go over, Elijah and I, we took the iPhone, it's almost all shot on an iPhone. It's beautiful. Studio tour with Tiffany Hayes, beautiful workspace, really fun. You know, Tiffany is my partner in crime when it comes to New Year's Day sew-along quilt. And actually, you know, folks, back to that disclaimer, I'm going to ask you all real quick to help me out. Please, forgive me if I get in trouble. If you never see me again on YouTube, you'll know now what has happened. I said too much today, but please help me out. Get ready to comment. If you're watching it recorded, comment. If you've watched our mystery quilt along on New Year's Day with Tiffany and I, it's a one day, it's about a 5-hour live sewing project, and we don't really intend for you to finish, but to get all the instructions.
Well, I would like to do something, and we talked about it a few months ago, about like a virtual sew along. I was going to do it as a retreat, but I really think it would be super fun to create a quilt for you all. And we'll start in the morning, and we'll have pre-cut kits for those of you who want to sew with my fabrics. I'll have instructions for those of you who want to do it out of your stash, is what I'm thinking. And what we'll do is we'll just sew until the quilt top is done. And so I'll make it fairly simple, but pretty cool looking. And so that's kind of what's going on through my mind. So please let me know in the comments if you would like to do something like that. Of course, it would be like no obligation is what I'm thinking. You could just join along, like I said, for the fun like we do for New Year's Day. But if you wanted to really sew in advance, we would make the kits available. And this is the thing I really want to know. I don't plan to do it as a mystery. I think it would be fun just to promote it as a all day long Sewing with Rob online project. I'd like to figure out a little bit more way to engage a little bit better here throughout the day, other than just comments and things. Maybe we'll just get a FaceTime camera going or something as well in the room. But anyways, this is what's been going on in my mind all week. I've been working a lot about it. So help me figure out a really fun way to engage with all of you and your sewing machines outside of our New Year's Day mystery. So I'd like to know, would you like it to be a non-mystery? Would an all-day sew until we're done with the quilt top be awesome? Pre-cut kits, I'm assuming you think would be great so that you could just have them delivered, something like that. So anyways, that's the question that's been going through my mind. If you help me figure it out, then I'll look like a genius when I tell Miss Deb, right? So at any rate, oh yeah, oh wow, you're all going crazy. I love this. Or is that just ACJ out there? I love you, ACJ. You're the best. Okay, so back to this week's, next week I should say. So like I said, this week's video was the studio tour with Tiffany. Next week's recorded video is the free motion quilting on the quilt you see on the side wall here. Look at that smile. I'm just having the best time. At any rate, straight stitching, and in the video I've only done a couple squares. So the whole reason this quilt is on the wall and bound, everybody, it's got its binding on it and everything, is so that you can see I am not an actor, folks. I'm a real quilt maker, and even though I only did a few squares in the video, so that I could really talk you through utilizing your foot, keeping it organic looking, the ways to travel through some of these little square patches so that you don't really have to cut thread very often, the thread choices, all of that's in the video. But it's just real simple organic straight line quilting. But the key really is, as I mentioned in the original construction video as well, when we quilt these kinds of basket weave quilts, we want the stitching to kind of run in the direction that the block is running, so it takes our eye through that trail that the basket would be weaving, that kind of thing. So anyways, I really like this quilt. It's super soft and cozy. We have the tutorial already for you on how to make the project. But then next week will be how to quilt the project. I think you'll really enjoy that. And as we go through, here it comes, folks. This is really exciting. It's time to share some of your quilts. And actually, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but this week I did only receive one email with a couple of quilt photos. So if you'd like your quilts to be shared with our sewing community out there, please send me an email, rob@stitchinheaven.com. I promise not to embarrass you all too much, but this one is from Nanci. So thank you, Nanci. Here we go. I recognize this quilt. This is the Dupree's Diamond Quilt. This is one that I've actually designed myself. Yes, I put a link in the description, but no, the center of my quilt is not that cool. Nanci, and again, Nanci, thank you for learning from me, but doing your own thing and pushing yourself. She took another style. She made some strip cuts for the center and gave a completely hollow core center, and I absolutely love what she's done. Now with the Dupree's Diamonds, I have leftovers, and it's the way that they cut up. So look what she's done. This is a 2 quilts in one. This is the center of this quilt is the back or the leftovers from her original quilt top. So again, Nanci, great work. Super proud of you. Thank you very much for sending in your photos. And again, thank you for participating in one of my quilt patterns and doing something super unique with both your quilt top and your leftovers. You're awesome, Nanci. Okay, so as we move through the announcements, this one's huge, folks, and I know it's probably only important to me, but we talk about her all the time, Sanford. This is my 2002 Toyota Sequoia 4-wheel drive, and she is now 330,000 miles on the road. Pretty excited about this. I think it's wonderful. I really forgot to get the picture with all the zeros at the back end, but I think that's pretty awesome. You know, when I go out and do my quilting adventures, as well as this is my daily driver, we keep surfboards and skateboards in it and quilting gear and camera gear, and it is just so much fun. I can sleep out of it, eat out of it, cook out of it, and explore. Like I said, four-wheel drive, so we can get you some of these amazing photos that are out there. And I think that's pretty dang cool. And speaking of those amazing photos, I realize I still need to become quilting, and I'm only halfway through the announcements today. Don't give up on me, folks. Don't give up on me. What I'm going to go ahead and do real quick is, let's check your comments before we get into the grateful list. I'm going to just go ahead and make sure I haven't missed any questions. And I'll go back and read all these comments. Thank you again, folks, for your information on the virtual sew along and the kits and all that. Oh, and the support for the new fabrics. Okay, I'm not seeing any actual questions. What is the quilt top? I think that refers to what the quilt top would be for the sew along, and I haven't shown that yet, but I do have it designed, I believe. Nanci, everyone loves your quilts. This is awesome. Okay. All right, fantastic. So now, folks, I'd like to dive into what I do every week when I remember, which is what we call the grateful list. As a wellness portion of the Sew Well, I think it's really important that we focus on the positive things in our lives, focus on the things we have in common, not that we have in opposition, and just enjoy our community. So this is my 4-piece rundown of the week, starting with creative expression. Now, this is something I should probably always have up here, but I want to explain in more detail what this really means. So with creative expression, I was able to have my friend, and she'll be part of the next version of the grateful list here as we get into it. My friend was in town, Charisma, but we went ahead and we spent a couple of days searching out inspiration and creativity in design, specifically for things that we can create for you all, and as part of our just celebrating our National Quilting Month. I happened to be up in Alden Lane with my friend Alex Anderson as well, and so I got to take some beautiful photos of in their indoor area, and so I was really attracted, and again, playing with how to use my iPhone so I could get better photos while I'm on the road. And these textures, when I got home, I just sat down, and again, this is for me drawing. Some of you know I'm also a tattoo artist, and so I'm just playing and learning how to use my iPad. I took a new class on how to use layers for painting and coloring in the iPad, and so at any rate, this is what the coloring from these flowers and textures kind of led to at the end of the week. I just thought it was really fun to go ahead and get a little wild and creative there within my creative expression. I don't expect anyone would ever let me tattoo that, but it was something that I was doing as a training and learning process so that I could learn how to use the iPad for drawing, which helps us all down the road when I'm being creative. But I really enjoy going out into nature and looking at colors and looking at textures, and then using that inspiration in my other work. As a quilt designer and pattern creator, once I get nose down in fabric, I start really thinking about how to tie it all together. But as artists, I truly believe we need to go out there and just have fun and get messy sometimes. And that's what this was kind of about. So also on the grateful list, then we have date night, folks. And at the end of the weekend, I got to go to a 50th birthday celebration, and you can't see, it's not a very well shot picture, but there was a rainbow happening. Then it turned into a double rainbow, which was really, really exciting. And then of course, I'm going to get you the full size photos of this. We don't do it very often, but we sat down and tried to pose for a photo. We didn't do a great job, but boy, isn't my wife lovely. Here's a much better picture of her. Beautiful lady. And so we had a great time out there on the road and celebrating a friend's 50th birthday. Third on the grateful list is good friends. As I mentioned, my dear friend Charisma Horton came into town, and after she spent Friday live with us last week, we still had a couple of things we wanted to do. She wanted to see the sunset. So yeah, we ran down to what we call the Embarcadero, down on the waterfront, still again playing with the iPhone. Look how it shoots directly into the sun. Pretty incredible. We went down and did a sunset beach walk. Got some really cool photos. Don't you love the greens and those pylons and everything? I just thought that was a super cool shot. Again, sunset. Apparently, she was enjoying the photos as well. This was one of our favorites. So right here, we saw this boat as we were getting ready to pick up some hamburgers, and in the window, there was a pillow that we both believed we are, and that is blessed. If you look close, I believe this person says they're blessed. They are out of the office. And I think that's pretty awesome, folks. Being out of the office always feels good. And when I got Charisma to get out and play, look what, I walked by this fish. I said, here, Charisma, grab a fish. And she just reached her hands in and grabbed a fish. And look at some of these fun photos we got. So anyways, just having a blast with my friend over the time that we were together and being creative, and now we're going to get to start sharing a lot of those things that we are able to develop and come together with. So I will also encourage all of you, we learn from each other out there, and don't forget, you may be the linchpin in your creative group, your small group. Maybe there's somebody that's out there that needs some creative support right now, getting together and just having fun. After I spoke with Alex Anderson last week, after, like I said, we bombarded her house for a day and made a lemonade stand, she just called and said, thank you for allowing us just to have fun for a day. We were gonna do some like real official photography stuff, and we just thought, forget it, let's play with this lemonade stand anyways and see what really happens. And I think as adults, I think as working individuals, I think as folks that spend money on our fabrics and time on our quilt creations, we do need to learn to loosen up a little bit and be a little more relaxed and a little bit more playful in what we do. This quilt here, the wonky log cabin, was really a great expression for me in that. There's nothing that had to be accurate, including the quilting that we will be getting to here in just a few moments. And I see I still have the fourth of the Grateful List up, and as a believer, as a Jesus follower myself, I got to put up my favorite photo and say Happy Resurrection Sunday for the believers out there. And then again, for those of you who choose not to, or have your other beliefs or your other religions, what I love about this, and is what I was trying to say earlier, is I believe we have so much more in common than we do apart from each other as quilt makers. So I hope all of you have a wonderful week in doing whatever you're doing. I'm excited because we have another family event where we're just going to have a great time as my small family. And so that's why that's on my grateful list for me. I'll be excited to see what you all have on your grateful list out there for all of you. And I'm just about ready to dive in to my sewing here. Let me go ahead and put up my last two slides so that we can then focus on some machine quilting and come back for some Q&A. That's question and answer for you newbies out there. I'm going to be sewing on my Handy Quilters 510. I've talked about this several times. Yes, here is the advertisement. I'm not sure if you're all aware though, at Stitchin Heaven, we have the opportunity to sell you this machine at $14.95, and we can drop ship it directly from the warehouse for you. It says, and this is where sometimes it gets confusing, on our website it says special order allow 4 to 6 weeks. Folks, it should be like 4 to 6 days. It's just the way the website's built. If you ever have questions, again, you can always reach out to info@stitchinheaven.com. But this is a great price on an incredible machine, and it does ship directly from the Handy Quilter factory. Free shipping involved just to save time. So at any rate, I did have the blessing of receiving this email last week, and so thank you very much, Karen. I hope this is not embarrassing you that I'm going to read this, but it was in regards to the 510. She had received one, and it says, "Hi Rob, I cannot thank you enough for helping me get the sewing machine of my dreams. It is so beautiful. I love sewing on it. Thank you so much." And folks, the reason that means so much to me is that she reached out because in one of the videos, she just heard me quilting on the machine, and she says, "Is the machine as good as it sounds?" She was comparing a couple of other straight stitch sewing machines, and I said, "It really, really is. I've loved it. I've had multiples of this style machine. I've had 3 or 4 different ones. This is the one that's available currently, and I just think it's fantastic because it's got enough size to be able to what I consider a domestic standing machine. I have a table under it right now, but it's straight stitch. It's got speed control. It's got thread cutter. It's got a second motor for winding its bobbin, and it just works perfectly. So I feel I don't care to be a salesperson. I am, but I don't care to be. I'd much rather be a teacher if I can. So when I get emails and people are asking me, I always answer with my most honest opinion. And I absolutely love this machine. I've sold several of them, but I just think it's really fun to point out for some of you out there that may not have a handy quilter dealer close to home, we'd be happy to be your dealer for you out there. So if you have questions in regards to anything on today's video, or if you have questions in regards to the machine, as I start machine quilting, I normally wear the Machinger's gloves because I absolutely love these as well, but it makes it a little harder for me to bounce back and forth to the touch screen. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave them off for a second. Let's go ahead and get in real close now to the needle camera. I'm going to keep the screen a little bit handy to make sure it looks like things are going to move. Last time we tried this, it stalled out, so I was really embarrassed. But again, as we started the video earlier today, I have a variegated thread. I have the machine set for fairly slow so that I can put my foot fully on the gas as we're speaking. And I'm just playing with some free motion. It can be swirls, it can be straight lines, and what I really like is a combination of both. This machine has a nice 8-inch opening, but you can actually turn the machine sideways so that you would be looking at the side end of the machine while you're quilting, so that you actually have your hands free on both sides. I like that feature a lot. Of course, it's not just for free motion quilting though. I did all the patchwork on this quilt and almost all of my quilts with this one. And those of you who were following along last week, I wanted to do a bunch of free motion quilting tutorials while I was out in Quitman, Texas at Stitchin Heaven. And funny enough, when I got to the shop, they'd sold the floor model 510 right off the floor a day or so beforehand, and we were waiting for ours to return. So I went down to Tiffany's house and I grabbed hers, and it's pretty funny. I think at the end of the video that's coming up on Wednesday, you can see that I'm blowing out this giant ball of dust out of her machine. So even though she's super precise in her patchwork, I busted her and all of us, and I did the same thing to myself before I started sewing today. I cleaned out the machine, I oiled the machine, I got it ready. Okay, I'm gonna have to stop so I can reposition my hands. And I'll go ahead and maybe I'll change camera angles here so you can get a little bit different angle of what's going on there. I hope you're all enjoying this. Oh, that's so funny. Diana said she cut her finger off of her gloves too. She saw me do that last week. Yeah, I'm missing one of the tips of the fingers on the Machinger's gloves. I will try to stay in this higher contrast area so you can see. And of course, folks, I'm standing right now, but normally I bring in my stool so that I'm not hunched over. But I do need to be able to stand so I can move around when I'm doing the live videos. I also received another lovely email from Carly this week. Carly, I hope you're watching today too. And you know, I was just thanked for being on YouTube, for taking the time to share my wacky quilting ideas, to have fun and just keep playing. And folks, I'm just gonna say you're welcome, but thank you all for including me in your quilting day. Thank you all for blessing me with the opportunity to make a living for my beautiful wife and children who aren't kids anymore. I mean, they're almost 19 and 21, doing fantastic. But I just feel so lucky to get to do what I do and know that there are so many of you out there that enjoy it. So thank you again. Okay, let's go ahead and maybe we'll go back to that tight camera so you can watch a little bit more here. Folks, I'm also gonna rotate the quilt. Actually, no, that's a bad idea. And the reason that's a bad idea, let's go back to the big camera. Okay, so you can rotate the quilt, of course, if the machine is stopped and the needle is down and there's no motion going on. But one of the things we always do is we start in the middle of the quilt. I don't know if you can see this in the overhead camera at all. Let's zoom that out. So we start in the middle of the quilt, and I've been quilting in this direction. So I almost went over to this corner over here so that you could see where I was working and the colors and things, and it would be easy on me. But that could really create some pucker in this section as I feed back to it. So we always want to work from where we have been quilting into areas that are not quilted, so that we're always pushing the backing and the batting and the quilt top nice and flat, and go ahead and extend the quilt top. Oh, and I see a question coming in. Does the table come with the machine? This particular one, let me go ahead. I'm going to cut thread. So let's do this and show you and answer that question. And I'm just going to cut thread because I can come on over here and restart. Now, if I was doing patchwork, I'd hit the thread cutter. But because I'm doing free motion quilting, I'm going to take a few stitches in place. I'm going to bring the needle up with the needle up button, and then I'm just going to slide my foot, and then I'm going to cut my threads here, and then that generally gets the bobbin thread too. Oh, I wasn't on the tight camera, so you didn't get to see all that, but there's your proof. That all worked nice and perfect. So now this white table here is an old table that I had from way back when I had the original version of this machine. Nowadays, it's a clear table from So Steady, and it's actually sold as an accessory. But I'll make you a deal right now. If you would like to order this machine from us, but you got to email in info@stitchinheaven.com. You can get the order in your queue on the link that's in our description, but you're going to have to email in that Rob said you could have a free extension table if you buy the machine today. Deb, I'm sorry. It sounds like I'm going to be having to do dishes and extra pushing of the lawnmower around Stitchin Heaven, but it is true. The table makes a great difference, and it's awesome, and I think I can include it. I used to hear Anita do that kind of stuff on video all the time, so I'm going to try it right now. So I might now be doubly in trouble today, but yeah, if you buy this machine, and I'm going to say before April 1st, that's my deal. I got to put a cutoff date, but if you buy the machine at full price, $14.95 off our website before April 1st, we'll throw in the extension table for you. And I think that's like $129 or $149 value. If you would rather, I have treated folks to the free motion foot and plate as well, which I really love. But the table you're going to want regardless. So at any rate, there's the deal. Email in info@stitchinheaven.com and let them know that I told you you could do this, and then they'll email me and let me know if I'm in trouble or not. Hopefully that answered the question. Oh, okay. So here's a question from Carl. I'm going to back up. I see questions, and then we'll get back to quilting, but let's answer some of these questions. Does the 510 have a stitch regulator? No, folks. This doesn't have a stitch regulator because I'm moving the quilt. It would be very challenging to regulate stitches in this format. But what it does have is a speed controller, and I actually mentioned it without thinking about it as I was starting to sew. So on the machine, I can move a lever so that the machine only goes as fast as I want it to go. So therefore, I can set, when I'm in free motion quilting, kind of a slow pace to get my rhythm. And then once I find that I'm getting larger stitches, meaning that I'm starting to move faster than the machine, I can inch that speed controller up. So it has a speed controller, but that's different than a stitch regulator. And folks, I know that stitch regulation is something that is popular to discuss, and I have it set on my long arm, but differently. For me, and I don't mean to sound negative if I do, but stitch regulation can be a bit of a challenge because it's really a reaction. So what happens is you start to quilt and the computer technology takes over and tells the machine how fast to go. There are always a couple of stitches in there that are the calibration stitches, and it can be a bit challenging and kind of like clunky at times until you get really fluid with it. So I prefer a machine I can control the speed to match my, pat the head, rub the belly situation. I feel like that works better for me personally. Yes, Rob is buying lots of tables today. Whoops, that's all right. Hey, if you grab your one there, Lori, I will get you a table. That's hilarious. I love it. Okay, fantastic. Let's do some more machine quilting here for folks, just because I'm having a great time. Okay, yeah. So, folks, the BSR stands for the Bernina Stitch Regulator, and that is the one that's connected to a domestic machine, and it's a very reactionary tool. So, Stitch regulators on long arms, where you're actually moving the machine instead of the quilt, is a different story. It's the better of the two versions. And for me, on my long arm machine, I want to say this right, I have it in what's called cruise mode. So the machine is running and I need to keep up with it. If I start to go too fast, it will go faster, but it won't slow down, and it doesn't need me to move to start stitching. So the minute I hit the button to turn it on, it starts tacking and I've got to be ready to move. The other version is a precise mode, which means that you've got to kind of move, and that's where you get this jerk, and sometimes you'll pull on the quilt and different things, even on the long arm. So yes. All right, back to quilting. Oh, another great question. Is it just a quilter or can it be used to sew clothes? Funny enough, about 15 years ago, I sold one of these machines to my friend Emily, and she was in a garment making class and she made the most beautiful black denim jacket out of it. But it does not zigzag, so it's not going to do your buttonholes for you, so you either have to do them manually over a cord or something, or you just hook up to a zigzag. But yes, it is great for piecing. I've actually fixed wetsuits, I've surfboard covers, sailboat covers, upholstery I've done, guitar straps I've fixed. Definitely I've put belt loops on pants. I've hemmed pants with it because it goes over. I'm sure I'll think of other stuff. I made my shirt with it recently, other than my buttonholes. I just put those on another machine. I love it. Yeah, but it is straight stitch. So that's the one. When I say straight stitch, that means it's not going to do zigzag, right? So you're going to need to have some other way to do that occasional zigzag when necessary. But I mean, as quilters, how often do we really do that? But yeah, this is the machine that is almost always set up. And so this is how, I don't want you to think I'm bragging too much, but because I have two of these, I'm actually considering just leaving one set up for piecing and another one set up for free motion quilting, so that I don't have to keep switching out the plate. Because you need to switch out the plate because it's an industrial machine. It's rad. I love it. I just love it. I know that sounds terrible. I think I feel like I'm bragging too much now. But yes, one of these days you're going to see two machines on the set. One for going straight and one for going in swirls. All right, let's go ahead and get restarted here so we can have a little bit more fun before this day's over. I'm going to go ahead and drop my needle. And I do like using the push button for that. And then I just pick it right back up. This has allowed me to pull over that bobbin thread. I should have pointed out, I'm doing this in kind of a hiding spot, right? Now when I push the needle down button again, it's going to lock in the needle, and I'm going to take a few stitches. They'll tie like a knot at the bottom, and then I can come on in and just following the original motif I was doing, restart my free motion quilting, and then let's come on over here into this lighter space so we can just play a little bit. I think it was Lori that said she was amazed by people that can free motion quilt. Lori, don't ask me to brag. Don't ask me to show off, please, because you know I love to show off. Who else out there likes to show off? I have a feeling there's going to be a couple people showing off on their social media accounts by Monday, their new sewing machines, and the picture of me pushing the mower across the acreage at Stitchin Heaven to pay Deb back for all the tables I just gave away, but you have until April 1st. I wonder if Mark or Nick, the president and marketing director, are listening right now. If you're listening right now, this is your one and only chance to tell everybody I'm in trouble. If not, they're going to buy a bunch of these machines and we're going to have to get a bunch of tables for them. We have such a great team at Stitchin Heaven. They're so cool. I've never had such a creative but hard-working and dedicated group of individuals. These folks are amazing. I'm so blessed to be part of them. So again, right now, I'm just doing what is really easy for me. Keeping it in mind, folks, I'm trying to talk. I'm trying to monitor comments. So I've got to do what comes naturally to me. There are times where I'll do something like maybe like a feather, or something that looks similar to it. Let's see if I can do it real quick.
Yes, I know there's a safety pin right there. And when I get to my turnaround point, I'm going to move it. Right here. I'm going to stop, move this pin out of the way. But you'll notice, even to do something as simple like this, I can't talk as much until the structure's down. Then once the structure's down and I'm going to do like some echoing of it, now it's just tracing again. I can be more conversational in my quilting. It was actually one of the reasons I didn't want to teach machine quilting as I was getting into the industry. I really enjoy it, but I really don't know how to explain what's happening. But after enough years and enough study with my friends, such as Angela Walters or Christina Camilli, or some of these folks, they just will teach us, learn how to do a couple of basic motifs, and then just treat yourself to quilting a few, maybe they're giveaway quilts, something that allows you to experiment and practice. Let's do a quick comments check, see how it's going out there. All right. Okay, so Heather's here. Oh, from Australia. Very cool. Nice. Okay. Looking good. I think I've got everyone's questions answered for the Friday. Oh, hey, Nanci, did you see your quilts? Okay. Right now, the question is, what weight thread am I using? And I'm being a terrible teacher because I'm using a thread that's actually not available to the general public. A million years ago, Orafil gave me some poly threads they were experimenting with. So this, I believe, is a 40, it is. It's a 40 weight and it's a polyester thread, and I'm using the exact same thread in the bobbin. I will generally use anywhere now, I've even experimented on the long arm. I've been using some 80 weight threads. If you're new to thread, excuse me, I've got the hiccups. If you're new to thread weights, I'm going to hiccup in the middle of the sentence. If you're new to thread weights, the larger the number, the finer the thread. So that 80 weight thread for the bobbin is much finer than the 40 weight thread on top. So a lot of times I've been doing 80 and 60 in the bottom, 60 on top, 80 in the bottom. Very nice. That really hides the stitches. Right now, because I wanted you all to be able to see the stitches, I'm using the 40 weight, the heavier threads. And I actually, here's the other trick. I slowed down the machine and kept my hand speed what I'm accustomed to. So my stitches were actually looking bigger. Let me see if we can bring them into camera a little bit. It may be a little fuzzy because of the distance, but you can see the stitches are big enough that you can see the pull between them. You can see the stitch points, you can see the bobbin pull just a little bit, and it works really great this way. I'm also reading a couple of comments while I just leave that nice and still. Yeah, so and again, this is just the 40 weight. So I did this so that it would show up, but I also was doing a little bit of camouflaging so that if my stitches weren't beautiful, which they never really are, it wouldn't be a big deal. And so when I say camouflaging, that means that I was using the variegated thread, so the colors in the threads are kind of changing as I go across the different colors in the project. And then I'm also using the same variegated in the bobbin. So if I'm doing a lot of swirls and things, sometimes you'll see that we get some real heavy, I don't even know where this is at in the design. I'm so zoomed in. Somewhere in here, yellow square. I apologize, yellow and blue, it's up here. Got it. Okay, so you can see that in a couple of these spots, like right here, that's like 1,000 stitches. Well, and I'm being silly, but that's probably 15 or 20 stitches in one corner because I was going really quick. And if I was using a different color bobbin thread, that would really, really show up. So I like to have this where I'm doing a lot of these tight swirls and things where I'll run a similar bobbin thread so that when it comes up, it doesn't show as bad. I will also just, what am I going to say? It's kind of my excuse, and I don't care for excuses a bunch, but
standing here and quilting on the table while you're all watching and I'm trying to control the cameras, it's a challenge. And I know I was saying that while I was stitching. Once I turn off all the technology and it's just me and my headphones and the quilting, I won't be getting as many of those corners because I'm not pausing for just that split second to think about what am I doing next, because I'm not in a performance mode, I'm just in a quilting mode. So that's my excuse for the day. If you have not heard before, I'm a great excuse maker. I'm a decent quilt maker as well, and I think I'm an awful lot of fun at times. So I'm going to do one last comment check here. I believe I've gotten all the questions answered. I'm really excited. I will be definitely seeing you before April 16th, but as a reminder, don't forget, Mary Fons and I will be presenting for Benertex Fabrics on the virtualfabricshow.com April 16th. Do not forget to sign up for, I think I've got just a couple seats left, the August 7 through 11 Rob Appell retreat. We'll be doing awesome patchwork backgrounds and appliques on top. Apparently I'm giving away tables until April 1st, so buy a machine at $14.95 and Rob will be treating you to a extension table. Just let customer service know that I told them that that was okay, because I'm going to have to eat crow for this, I'm sure. But I'll do it. I'll do it for all of you. Email info@stitchinheaven.com. Let them know Rob's in trouble. It'll be hilarious. I'll see if I end up in the principal's office on Monday. I certainly hope so. Thank you to Stitchin Heaven. Thank you to all of you folks out there. Enjoy your weekend coming up, however you choose to celebrate. Hey, or not. Maybe you're just going to sit around and make a quilt. And if you're making a quilt, you better be celebrating, because there's nothing better if you ask me. Well, maybe there's a little bit better, and that's all of you out there. I don't know. I'm just rambling on. It looks like it's almost time for third coffee of the day. I'm going to go pour one right now. And again, folks, thanks for joining me for another Friday. I really hope you enjoy the videos coming up throughout the week. Make sure you're enjoying us over on Facebook and